What's up, guys? Diego from SGN here to talk about the phenomenal news that just dropped yesterday, which is that both Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor are making their return to the UFC Octagon later this year. Nate Diaz was announced, first of all, to be taking on Dustin the Diamond Poirier at UFC 230 in Madison Square Garden. And of course, that fight might not be happening now because both guys have gone on Twitter to say that they aren't going to be fighting on that card somehow, some way. Who knows what the hell happened there? Maybe Dana White finessed them in some way. Who the hell knows? And then, of course, later that day after the press conference, they announced that Conor McGregor will be taking on Khabib Nurmagomedov for the undisputed UFC Lightweight title at UFC 229 at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. And this is great news for MMA fans because, yes, since WWE came in, there have been some fun fights. There have been some great fights like Yoel Romero versus Robert Whittaker. But realistically, since last year, on July 29th, when John Jones knocked out Daniel Cormier, there hasn't been a truly blockbuster fight really ever since then. And that's a shame because back when the Fertitta brothers were running it, and Dana White, of course, they were pretty much always able to build stars, and regardless of who was headlining a card, it was always going to be almost always going to be a pretty big card in terms of pay-per-views. Whereas with WME, there's usually a lot of shit shows going on around, whether there's a lot of injuries, whether there's people pulling out, whether there's just a lot of issues in general. It really has been a shit show ever since those guys came in. So it's looking good for MMA fans because we have Conor McGregor coming back, Nate Diaz coming back, possibly Nick Diaz in the future. Who the hell knows with him? Brock Lesnar might be coming back. We have plenty of things coming on in the horizon, and it is a good time to be an MMA fan. Hopefully, things will be getting better. Like, if things stay the same and the ratings continue to plummet, then mixed martial arts might be in trouble. Because realistically, if the UFC plummets, then all of MMA plummets. And that's not a good thing, especially for hardcore fans of the sport like myself and like just about every other person who's a real hardcore fan of the sport. Anyway, yesterday I actually put out a video, which was up on YouTube for about 10 minutes at most, which was explaining my theory, which was essentially that as soon as they announced Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier in Madison Square Garden at UFC 230, I figured, listen, they're pretty much going to confirm that Conor is going to be on the same card, essentially, against Khabib Nurmagomedov. Because, obviously, they want to match them up as close as possible. That way, if somebody pulls out of the fight, out of the main event, then somebody can just slide in. Whether it's Dustin Poirier or Nate Diaz, they can just slide them in. It's really easy to do. Instead of actually having to, like, work things around, like one guy being a month, having trained a month less or a month more, weird stuff like that. So, in my opinion, as before, of course, the announcement for Conor came out, that was what was going to happen. And of course, as soon as I put out the video, between editing and stuff like that, I missed the press conference. As soon as I finished editing all that, I uploaded the video. I get a message, saying, "What, you didn't see the news about Conor McGregor?" And I was like, "What the hell happened?" And it was literally that Conor McGregor was taking on Khabib a month before the Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier fight. And I was like, "Well, there goes my couple of hours." But realistically, it's good news, so I didn't mind having to redo this video. I mean, it's obviously great news. Like, who doesn't want to see Nate Diaz fight? Who doesn't want to see Conor McGregor fight? And obviously, I've made it pretty clear in quite a few of my videos that I'm not a very big Diaz brother fan. And it's not because of the way they fight. It's kind of just the way they act. Like, I don't have any problems with, like, them not showing up to press conferences and things like that. There's something about them that kind of rubs me the wrong way. And, of course, if you don't listen to Punch Drunk the Fight Nanny, there's been quite a few stories that she's told as well. That kind of just makes you think, like, these people are just kind of iffy. They're just out there. And of course, you don't really need somebody to be telling you that because you can pretty much tell that there's something really shady about them. But that's just the way they were raised and stuff like that. I don't blame them for that necessarily. When you're born and raised in a place like Stockton, which is pretty rough, and obviously no offense to any of you guys from Stockton, but when you're born and raised in a place like that, you tend to have some different tendencies. You have a different mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like, so a lot of things that they do, I don't agree with, and that's just the way it is. They're going to continue to do that stuff, and I might get stalked and slapped for saying this type of stuff, but let me tell you, the Cannigione flick, that shit is dangerous too. So Nate Diaz, if you want to come at me, bro. I'll see you right here on the streets, and I will get my ass beat, but regardless, I will get a couple flicks in, and I will do some damage. Anyway, getting into the serious stuff, I'm actually really, really excited about this. As you can probably tell, right now it is 8:30 in the morning. I finished the night shift, didn't sleep a single hour. I slept like a total of 20 minutes, and I'm still this excited. After already filming this video, I'm excited to see these fights, and I'm hoping that nothing wrong goes on. Hopefully there won't be any crazy drama like Conor McGregor grabbing, another dolly and throwing it at somebody. Hopefully that won't happen. Hopefully Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier won't collapse with the weirdness that's going on there. And just hopefully MMA fans will finally get what we've been waiting for such a long time and seeing some major fights. Like, it's awesome when you have fights, like I said, like Yoel Romero versus Robert Whittaker 2 happening. It's great when you have these kind of fights happening. But there's nothing quite like a Conor McGregor fight when he's taking on somebody like Khabib Nurmagomedov. Just the mystique behind both men. You know, Khabib Nurmagomedov being an absolute Terminator, having pretty much shown that he can destroy just about everybody. And of course, I have an argument towards that, which is that he hasn't really fought anybody except for one guy that's really in the top 10, or at least that's really high ranked, that is a title contender possibly, which is Michael Johnson. So we don't really know what he's going to be able to do against a truly elite striker. So we haven't really seen him against anybody except for against Dos Anjos. But Dos Anjos, even against Colby Covington, showed that he can get smothered by guys. So I don't know, but regardless, we know Khabib Nurmagomedov is an absolute monster. But we also know that Conor McGregor can knock out just about anybody in the world. All right, he dropped Nate Diaz 3 times in one fight, and Nate Diaz has a chin on him. And I mean, for Conor McGregor to go out there and do that was very impressive. We saw what he did to Eddie Alvarez, who's a monster. We saw what he's done to Dustin Poirier, who's a monster. Of course, that was 145, where Dustin Poirier was very deflated. But Conor McGregor was also very deflated at 145. So regardless, we saw what he did against Jose Aldo, who's one of the greatest of all time. So we know that Conor McGregor is an absolute badass, and he can knock out just about anybody. And we also know that Khabib's a badass. So those two going against each other with styles completely differently, with Russia behind one guy and the rest of the world behind another guy, it's going to be massive. It's going to be extremely entertaining. I'm super excited for that fight. And of course, anytime a Diaz brother fights, it's going to be a brawl. And Dustin Poirier showed against Justin Gaethje, against Eddie Alvarez, twice now against Eddie Alvarez, as well as against, who was that he fought after that? I can't remember right now who he fought before. He fought somebody that was an absolute monster in the midst of that. And regardless, he's shown every single time that he goes out there, he can brawl with the best of them. He's also very technical. He's just a great fighter. So it's going to be 2 phenomenal matchups. Hopefully, nothing will go wrong with them. Hopefully, Mr. Murphy, in other words, Murphy's Law, will keep his ugly cunt out of the picture, and hopefully nothing will go wrong. Hopefully nothing will go wrong. The injury bug won't strike and won't ruin something. No controversy. I just want to see these 2 fights happen. All 4 guys be at the very best possible physical condition they could possibly be, and go at each other and just see who the hell is the best lightweight in the world. Of course, Nate Diaz is ranked number 10, so realistically, he might not be in an actual contender if it wasn't for how big of a name he is. But realistically, he did beat Conor McGregor. Of course, it was at 170, and it was kind of just a weird situation. But we all know that Nate Diaz can beat some pretty tough dudes on his day. Is he going to be able to beat Dustin Poirier? I'm actually going to be leaning towards Dustin Poirier. However, it's going to be one hell of a fight as well. And I want you guys to let me know in the comment section down below how excited you are for these fights. Who do you think is going to win? Conor McGregor versus Khabib? Or Dustin Poirier versus Nate Diaz? Who do you think is going to win those fights? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. That way you get notified every time a video comes out that I release. And of course, it's pretty much the only way that YouTube will give you any recognition nowadays. And God knows that I fucking need some help getting some traction. Also, guys, please share the video. That's extremely helpful. So thank you to anybody who does that. Big shout out to every single one of my subscribers who always comment on my clips. Thank you once again, guys. I will see you in the next video.